Another example that I'd like to give you, which has little to do with the previous study, is related to, well, something seemingly unrelated. It's online dating. If you think about online dating, I don't know who of you is engaged in online dating. You might have noticed, I heard from friends, I'm no longer swiping left and right, but I heard from friends that the profiles, for quite some years actually, so I don't really know what I'm talking about when I talk about digital dating, online dating, but what I heard from friends is that the profiles have become more and more shiny, they've become more and more polished. More and more people are using probably artificial intelligence to make them look nice, even generate artificial images of them, like kind of, get them off some wrinkles and stuff, looking more tan, more relaxed. But what happens is probably that, as we know from psychology in these cases, is that the first impression then becomes more important. Why? Because everybody looks the same, right? Or everybody has higher polished profiles, and so the profiles, relatively speaking, matter less, and what matters more are the things that AI cannot automate, cannot enhance. That's a firm handshake, that's a nice smile, that's a look into the eyes, that's maybe bringing flowers, opening the door. And that is actually also what we see on the labor market. We looked at management, at finance, at sales roles, where AI had been entering, obviously, over the last years, and more things have been automated in terms of the things that can be automated. Writing a report, drafting a speech, writing an email. But what happened is that the other things, teamwork, resilience, ethics, all of these human capabilities gained in importance. What we see in this chart is actually a development, an upward development for all of these kind of human roles, and the odds that we're looking at here is like, how likely is it that this kind of skill is being demanded in an AI role versus a non-AI role? So what we're seeing is that the more we look at AI roles, the more we look at jobs, again, in marketing, in management, in sales, in finance, where AI has been integrated, the more it becomes important for these people to have some of these human capabilities like ethical judgment, teamwork, self-efficiency, and resilience, for example. And this is not only shown in popularity, this is also shown in monetary terms. So these skills also have higher rewards. They're better paid if people are actually able to complement these AI technologies with the human skills. And I brought you a chart here, and I tried to point out, because we didn't flag it in our report, point out marketing, for example, which is this dot up here, where you clearly see the more AI is entering into this domain in the blue chart, the more people are being demanded to have these complementary skills. But also on the downside, the less they're being demanded to have actually these skills that are substituted by AI. So this is really showing us that it's time to let go of some capabilities, that we should not be competing with AI because we can't compete with AI, and to focus more on the capabilities that AI is actually not so good at. And that is our really human capabilities, again, something like ethical judgment, teamwork, and resilience, for example. I'd like, for the remainder of the talk, I hope I still have a bit of time for this, I'd like to get into a few current discussions that we're looking at on the labor market in general, but also particularly in this domain. One of these studies is about marketing. So we conducted just recently, and this is brand new stuff essentially, a study with folks from marketing here in London, 153 experts in marketing, and we wanted to know to what extent originality, which is, of course, in the world of media, something really, really important, creativity and originality, is influenced or can be influenced by artificial intelligence. And the setup was really, really simple. I'm simplifying it a little bit even more. They were asked to come up with a campaign or brand name for a new energy drink, a special, natural, organic energy drink. That's what the market wants right now. And some of them did this without AI, some of them did it with AI, and some of them did it with AI and a bit of guidance, telling them like how to best integrate artificial intelligence into what they're actually doing. And what we see, first of all, is that there is a significant increase, like compared to the people with no AI aid, measured on a scientific scale as much as you can do that, there was a 17% increase in originality for the people that had AI with them, and an even much stronger increase of 43% for the people who had a guidance in artificial intelligence. That was really stunning. We thought like that's a really extreme increase if you think about it, as much, of course, as you can measure originality scientifically. But here's the catch. On an individual level, AI supported people on an aggregate level, it made actually things converge to kind of a blob, There was much less diversity in the ideas. To give you one example, how to read this chart without complicating things too much, the bar chart that you see that when it came to the simple task of finding a name, the most popular name has been chosen by so many people. Almost 20% of the sample pick this name, and if you look at the color of the bars, those are the people who had AI, who just used AI. Because if you blindly trust what AI tells you, well, I mean, we kind of all come up with the same ideas. And also the inlet chart, which is a bit more complicated, but it essentially tells you the outliers are gone, like the crazy ideas about names and campaigns are gone, and it converges more and more to something that is more similar, which is really a double-edged sword and something tricky to think about it, because of course we want individuals to improve their originality. That's a great thing, right? But what we don't want from a company perspective, from industry perspective, is for ideas to converge to something that becomes less and less distinguishable in that sense. Another example that I'd like to bring up here, and that is on why we still need experts. That's essentially coming from, I don't know if you've seen this footage about a Tesla not being able to recognize a carriage. I think it's on the street somewhere in Austria. And while this is really funny, like a funny internet meme, it tells us a lot about expert knowledge, because in your field, it is a lot about why we still need experts, or whether we still need experts, and whether that still matters in the time of artificial intelligence. And what this shows us is that, how is it possible that a machine so smart, like a Tesla, like this, very elaborate AI-aided machine, not able to recognize that there's a carriage riding in front of the car, right? So it confuses it with a truck or a car or a truck coming into the direction of the car, actually. And the thing is, because it hadn't seen a carriage before on the street, right? It's not in the data. And that is something crucial to remember, because these models are designed to work with the most probable outcome, right? If I'll ask you for, if I ask a ChatGPT, for example, for a recommendation, it will come up with the words that are most likely. It's going to be recommending what has been most likely in the training data. And a carriage was not that likely on the street, to be seen on the street. But that is actually great news for experts, because in this long tail of events, some of them are very, very unlikely, the experts are navigating this very, very long tail. The experts are down this long tail of events that do not occur very frequently. You have to have a lot of experience to have seen some of these rare events, while machines, AI, is really good at the 80% and the front loading, at the events that are very, very, very common, the things that you see on the street every day, on a daily basis, right? And when it comes to working with machines, I think the clue here is for experts to let go of these repetitive things, to let go of these repetitive tasks, and to essentially focus on what is expertise and focus what they are bad at. I don't have my timer here. I don't know if I have to wrap it up. Okay, I'll be wrapping it up very, very, very quickly with one last thing maybe. And that's about a question that probably you in your industry are also concerned with, and that is what happens to junior roles. We hear a lot of people talk about that junior roles are declining. We have a chart here from colleagues in Stanford where they show that for software developers, for example, the junior roles have been hit hardest by automation, and the media has picked this up. And of course, many companies are advocating almost, or bragging almost, with letting go of their junior staff, because they can say, like, we're so efficient, we're integrating AI so desperately, so strongly, we let go of our junior employees. I'm not going to get into the details in the interest of time, whether this is actually related to AI. Part of this might be related to AI, but the point is, in the long run, it's a bad decision, actually. It might be reasonable to do this in the short run, because there are efficiency gains from automating away work that is very similar to AI, that is very repetitive. The early stage career work is kind of repetitive. But in the long run, who's going to be the mid-management? Who are going to be the experts and the leading people in your company, in the industry in 5 to 10 years? It's the people that gain experience. That might be costly at the beginning. They might make mistakes. They definitely will make mistakes, because making mistakes is part of learning. But that's a long-term investment, and that's an important investment for the sustainability of a company and an industry. I think I'll have to skip those points in the interest of time, I've been just told. some very selfless advertisement at the self-branding at the end. I have a book coming out in November. If you want to subscribe to the pre-sale list, do so. It's skilled-book.com. And I thank you very much. Oh, sorry, that's one too far. I thank you very much for your attention.